Hi everyone. First off, there's some sound in the background. My dad's doing some excavation work out there. Just it's kind of annoying, but maybe he'll move away. I do apologize for missing 3 days of videos. Had some retard workers here in my town. I heard, but I don't remember who they were working for. They ended up drilling into the ground and hitting the whole CenturyLink wire, and it's like in half now. So, and they said, "Oh, we'll have it fixed in 2 days," and now here we are, 4 days later, without internet. But I found a way to work around it. Just had some issues with getting the documents and stuff without internet typed out. Like, oh, I can handwrite them. I decided actually I could use notes on the computer, and that worked fine. So that's what we're running on today. But so I did miss 3 days of videos, 6 videos. So, but I'm not making those up. It's just too much. I'm just gonna carry on from here, and hopefully it gets fixed soon. Because this process for making the documents is a little slower, but it works. That's why we really need Tesla's technology out there. He's had some amazing energy technologies, not like 5G, but where it kind of eliminate a lot of these problems. But anyway, I'm gonna put up a video at the end of this video, just kind of disturbing. Northrop Grumman, the aerospace company that started a long time ago, but ended up selling out to the globalist agenda and being infiltrated by a lot of globalists, even in the beginning, and now some Chinese communists. But since the founding of it, it was a corrupt company looking to make profit off of wars, and so with that, they were allied with some small banks who were also corrupt in the beginning because they would give loans to countries to fight the wars and fund both sides. But that was mainly with like Napoleon and some of the big royal family, or the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, funding these types of wars. So they already had corruption pushing them towards this agenda, but then they were allied with the small banks in the beginning, and then the mega banking families bought up all the smaller banks and took over control, and with that took over control of the weapons manufacturers and those companies. And of course, like some of the major oil companies, like Standard Oil, were started by the Rockefellers. Lawrence Rockefeller, he's a fairly good man, from what I've heard. Did a lot of work with Stephen Greer and the Sea Steady Project, and was kind of against the whole oil monopoly and stuff they were doing. And David Rockefeller, being a complete globalist Satanist, just kind of running everything, and Lawrence kind of got away from that and ended up trying to fight against them. So it's kind of a big family, and with that kind of comes, you want to be different from your parents and what they were, and just kind of go the exact opposite, just like JFK was kind of the same, because of the mafia and everything, the mob. So the big banking families bought it all up and kind of took over control, and the weapons manufacturers and the other companies, they bought up all the small oil companies as well with Standard Oil. So they're kind of in control of all this banking and corporation, because they are at the top and have control of all of that. The media, a lot of things are not completely controlled, or bought out, but infiltrated. You can't simply buy them out, but everything is controlled by the people at the top. This company, Northrop Grumman, also was involved in covering up some ET craft and reverse engineering them for the purpose of staging abductions and creating another war, which they will also benefit from. Also not disclosing the ET technology, which would keep their allied oil companies, globalists, founded and run as well, to keep them in business. But that's kind of minor corruption, but still a big deal of why this stuff is not released, for the technology to not be released. But even more than that, reason for corruption, they were able to plan out using an ET threat that is not real, but engineered, reverse engineered, just like the coronavirus, to unite people, just like the virus, and have power rise out of that. Just like, yeah, well, it's a good thing. The people kind of see through this right now with Bill Gates, and see the threat's not really bad, and most people see the agenda behind this, because it's the same thing's happening with Bill Gates. You're having this giant threat. They're trying to bring everybody together around it and fight against it, and then the power, Bill Gates, is riding out of that. Fauci, and they're kind of rising out of into a dictatorship with that, but it's not working really. People are kind of understanding what's happening. So the alien invasion false flag may happen very soon, unless this succeeds, this whole coronavirus, which I don't think it will. But basically, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, any other not Boeing, SpaceX, and Elon Musk, he was kind of against this. Like when he went on Joe Rogan, he was talking about that stuff. But then he came out a year later and said, okay, cyborgs, human robots, are the only future we have. Because he's going to these billionaire meetings, and he was understanding what's happening. And when he's on Joe Rogan asked him some things that I knew he knew, and probably he lied about them with what he said. He said something like, Joe Rogan asked, is there any type of technology like Bob Lazar type stuff flying saucers? And he's like, no, because he's got a gun to his head. He truly does know what's happening, and then he comes out a year later and kind of switches to this plan, probably under threat. I doubt he'd sell out, but under threat, which is very bad. And not that they'd assassinate him, but probably just destroy his name. And so I think he ended up kind of getting into that, which is just horrible, because I had a lot of hope for him. But you know, a lot of these billionaires, they don't have the courage to do this. They have the money, but they don't have the courage. So it's a lot of just normal people who are, you know, it's not the end of the world if they lose us, but that's the hard truth. All weapons manufacturers ended up joining the agenda. Of course, not getting the benefit from it completely. They just got bought up and kind of became rich from it. Unless they were completely globalist ran or infiltrated, if they were very big companies. But through the need for war, that corruption pushes them to kind of join that, kind of wanting war for money and weapons, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast for that. So unless you're marketing to civilians, which is usually always a business, that's the only way you kind of can do that with a good heart, because you're not really pushing war. Always civilians want to be prepared. But then you get into, well, we want to frighten them so that they buy up more guns, but most people aren't like that. Most civilian manufacturers and dealers aren't like that, at least the ones I've seen. So going off track, I apologize. But like the video I'll put at the end of this, it's a promotional video by Northrop Grumman, and they're bragging about their stealth bomber bombing in the Middle East, in particular Iraq, Serbia, Libya, and Afghanistan. They said in the video, and I quote, "Stealth bombers can reach any target anywhere in the world." They also said, when the U.S. goes to war, the B-2 goes first. It was the first in Iraq, Afghanistan, Serbia, and Libya in 2011 and 2017. And I heard this, and I was, wow. Because, well, what do I mean by they were bragging? Well, they don't mention in the video, which you'll see that in the video. In 2011, NATO intervention in Libya actually turned it to a failed state and caused a shit ton of terrorism. So that didn't work too well, and they're bragging about it. And just kind of, it's disgusting. These people are disgusting. See you in the next video.